September 11th, 2001 was a sad day for humanity, but apparently, fate had a soft spot for a couple of celebrities, some of whom are alive to this very day. Number 10. Jim Pierce. The cousin of then President George W. Bush and managing director at AON Corporation had a front row seat to one of the most tragic moments in history. Let's just be glad the guy didn't end up having a VIP ticket, else he would have definitely been history. On the morning of 9/11, Pierce and his team were set to have a meeting in AON's offices on the top floors of the South Tower. But let's just say that it was a stroke of luck, or fate being a little too kind, the meeting grew a little too large, and they were moved to a nearby building to accommodate everyone involved. Meanwhile, 12 of Pierce's colleagues were still in the actual meeting spot, and sadly, that was exactly when American Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. Only one of them made it out alive from the actual spot. Pierce, safely out of harm's way, later reflected on how unexplainably random all of it was. While he walked away from the chaos, 11 colleagues paid the ultimate price for something as simple as bad timing. Sometimes, survival really isn't about skill or luck, it could just be about being in the right building at the right time. Number 9. Patty Austin. Sometimes fate plays games, like musical chairs for example, and Patty Austin just happened to snag the last safe seat in this case. The Baby Come To Me singer had a scary close call on 9/11. Initially scheduled to perform with Michael Jackson on September 10th, Austin almost canceled to care for her sick mother in San Francisco. Lucky for her, the concert organizers rescheduled her for the September 7th show, and boy did they literally save her life. How so? Because Patty's original flight back home was none other than United Airlines Flight 93, the very aeroplane that tragically went down in Pennsylvania after passengers heroically kicked the hijackers' plans out of the window. Patty later thought about how she dodged this horrific event, saying she believed her life was spared for a purpose. While she's still figuring out what that is, her dedication to charity is a really good start, don't you think? Let's be fair, receiving a get-out-of-death-free card from fate is sure to make you nicer. Number 8. Michael Jackson. Believe it or not, the King of Pop was scheduled for a meeting in one of the World Trade Center towers that very morning. A meeting, mind you, right in the very center of what would soon become a fiery disaster zone. But as it turns out, the Don't Stop Till You Get Enough singer has gotten enough of alarms and punctuality, that is. Yes, after staying up until late with his family post-concert, he accidentally slept in. Let that sink in. Michael Jackson survived 9/11 because he had snooze. Guess it wouldn't be too bad sleeping in now and then, yeah? While the world cried, Jackson probably woke up thinking, that meeting can wait. And speaking of close calls, another legend dodged disaster too. A martial arts superstar switched filming from the World Trade Center to Toronto at the last minute. A twist of fate, or just a chaotic production schedule, so definitely stay tuned. 7. Seth MacFarlane. Never heard anything good coming out of procrastination, have you? Well, in this case, it might have just been what saved Seth MacFarlane's life. In 2001, the Family Guy creator narrowly missed being a passenger on American Airlines Flight 11, which flew right through the North Tower. The reason? Our guy here got too drunk with his old professors, which left him too hungover to function. And when he got to the airport reeking of last night's bad decisions, he was greeted with a cold, "Sorry, the gate's closed." His response? A casual, "Cool, I'll grab the next one." And thank God he did. Turns out even fate loves a good drunk excuse. Number 6. Gabourey Sidibe. Gabourey Sidibe is another one on this list who owes her life to the snooze button. The star was just an 18-year-old college freshman at Borough of Manhattan Community College back when this happened. She had no clue of the horrors that could have befallen her. On the morning of September 11th, Sidibe had an 8 a.m. class just a few blocks away from the World Trade Center, but our little miss slept in. Instead of rushing to class, she decided to catch a talk show. Well, I'm willing to bet that this is a bad life choice that she's thanking herself for. Within minutes, the horrific news made headlines on all the news channels on TV. Planes hit the towers, and one of those towers collapsed onto the building where she was supposed to be. The class was canceled, and the school was made an emergency base for first responders. This definitely tops her list of best decisions she never consciously made. 5. Sarah Ferguson. Here's a wonderful example of the power of good timing, and good luck. The Duchess of York, who somehow managed to keep her title post-divorce like a true royal multitasker, was just about to get a charity meeting at the World Trade Center on September 11th of 2001. Ferguson's organization, Chances for Children, had a little office on the 101st floor of the North Tower, and she was supposed to be right there at 8:45 a.m. She should consider herself extremely lucky her car pulled up to WTC just 1 minute after American Air Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower. Time? Exactly 8:46 a.m. "It's unbelievable," she said. "I was just a minute away." 4. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, the action hero so good at his job, he swore he could rewrite history with his bare hands. In 2001, Wahlberg too was supposed to be on American Airlines Flight 11, one of the unfortunate planes that struck the North Tower. But lucky for him, a last-minute detour was planned by fate to Toronto for some industry hobnobbing. A week later is when history unfolded without Wahlberg in the first-class cabin. But the dude now claims that he had turned into a one-man army. In interviews, he confidently says the day of the tragic script would have been flipped, terrorists subdued, lives would have been saved, and he'd pilot the plane to safety. Obviously, this Hollywood blockbuster scenario didn't sit well with anyone, and Wahlberg later apologized for what could have easily been the most tone-deaf comment in 9/11 history. 3. Michael LaMonaco. The culinary mastermind behind New York found himself in an incredibly dangerous position on 9/11. Now that he's on this list, we can be sure that he made it out safe. As the culinary director at Windows on the World, situated high up in the North Tower, LaMonaco's usual morning routine was interrupted by some unusual stuff. Out of the blue, he decided to stop by the WTC's shopping area to get his eyeglasses repaired. A routine errand that, as it turns out, is probably why he's still alive. LaMonaco's glasses were nearly repaired and done exactly when the first plane struck the tower at 8:46 a.m. And boom, there was a power cut. Call it a chef's instinct for survival maybe, because the destruction from the plane's impact didn't scare him off running alone. Instead, he rushed back inside to help evacuate his staff, only to hear the second plane's roar and see it hit just minutes later. He survived, but he lost 79 colleagues that day. Number 2. Ian Thorpe. Ian Thorpe, the Australian swimming legend with more gold than a pirate treasure chest, had an almost unbelievable escape from the 9/11 tragedy. Taking a break from the chlorine and Olympic gold medals, Thorpe decided to spend his little holiday in New York City. On the morning of the 11th, after jogging around Manhattan, he and a friend made a last-minute decision to hang out. Where? None other than the World Trade Center observation deck. This time, it was his buddy who hit snooze, and Thorpe, being the easygoing swimmer he is, grabbed a coffee and went right back to his hotel room. And it was within only a few moments later when the plane struck the tower. Thorpe remembers the moment to be a very, very close call. It was a good thing that he wasn't on that observation deck, because 2 planes crashing into a building sure isn't something even an Olympic swimmer can outrun disaster. And at number 1, we have Jackie Chan. There's our martial arts legend. It seems as if the guy can dodge catastrophe both on screen and in real life as well, with a well-timed change of plans, of course. According to a rather unconfirmed and borderline mythical story, Chan was supposed to be at the World Trade Center on the morning of September 11th to film a stunt for an upcoming movie. But in a move that sounds like it was ripped from a movie script, Chan decided to head to Toronto instead to film The Tuxedo. Yes, a movie that could have potentially had him dead. In an unexpected twist, Jackie Chan's last-minute change of plans due to production delays might have saved his life. It's a chilling thought that he could have been at the World Trade Center during the 9/11 attacks. Sometimes, fate works in mysterious ways, and even a chaotic production schedule can be a lifesaver. If you're hungry for more incredible stories, don't miss our video on the shocking deaths of WWE superstars. These legends left a lasting impact on wrestling, and their tales are both captivating and tragic. Like, share, and subscribe for more.